The 32-year-old died a violent death, having been stabbed a number of times, and there are signs of defensive injuries.
Today is another case of violence toward women in Ireland, but this one is as bizarre as they come. Natalie was 15 weeks pregnant when her life was taken, and the person who planned and executed this horrific crime was a YouTuber with just under 35,000 subscribers. Today's case brings us to Northern Ireland and to the county Armagh. Armagh is Ireland's oldest city, renowned for their top schools and an abundance of eateries, from towering churches, hilly streets and historic buildings, to a lineage that stretches back to St. Patrick in the 5th century. It is considered one of the most enjoyable cities on the small island of Ireland. This takes us to the town Lurgan in County Armagh, and this is where Natalie McNally lived. A happy, independent young woman, she had a typical childhood growing up alongside 3 brothers and a family that loved and supported her. She worked for the public transport company Translink, while also being a law graduate and having a master's degree in business and marketing. Her future was looking bright. Natalie had type 1 diabetes while growing up, but Natalie always fought through the medical challenges this brought, alongside her family. She was very close with her family, but mostly her mother. When she became an adult, her and her mother, they would be inseparable. They would do everything together. They were best friends. Even though Natalie was close to her mother says she was very independent. She was her own woman and she lived her life on her own terms. If she had any issues, she wouldn't reach out to friends and family. She would rather handle these issues herself. Life was good for 32-year-old Natalie, and she would soon find a partner to share her life with. And his name was Stephen, and they by all accounts had a great relationship, and they soon would be expecting their first child together. On December 19th, 2022, just before Christmas, in her hometown of Lurgan, where locals were finishing up their final days in work to celebrate the Christmas period, Natalie, she wasn't responding to calls or texts, which was unusual. So a friend would call by her house to do a welfare check, and what she stumbled upon would live in her mind for the rest of her days. Natalie was found murdered in her home. She had been badly beaten and stabbed to death while she was 15 weeks pregnant. It appeared Natalie had fought back her attacker and she wasn't going down without a fight.
Detectives from the Major Investigation Team have now launched a murder investigation following the death of Natalie McNally in Lurgan. This follows the results of the post-mortem. The 32-year-old died a violent death, having been stabbed a number of times, and there are signs of defensive injuries. She was murdered at her home in the Silverwood Green area of the town, and evidence now suggests that she was murdered on the night of Sunday the 18th of December. Officers were called to the property along with colleagues from the Northern Ireland Ambulance Service. Sadly, Natalie was pronounced dead at the scene. It is distressing to add that Natalie was in fact 15 weeks pregnant. This fatal attack, which happened in her own home, has therefore resulted in a double tragedy. The death of a mother-to-be along with her unborn baby.
Natalie's friend called emergency services straight away, and she described the scene in disbelief. We would soon learn later Natalie had been murdered on the 18th, 24 hours before she had been found. The investigation into her death had now gone underway, and Gardaí pulled CCTV footage from around the area of her house in Lurgan. They noticed a suspicious man walking down Natalie Street at around 8:52 PM, and by 9:30 he was seen leaving from the direction of Natalie's house. And with this CCTV footage, the police had their first suspect, and he was arrested the following day. Unfortunately, the man in question, he had an alibi, and he was released from police custody on December the 20th. On December the 22nd, another man was arrested after police gathered more CCTV footage, but he too was released without charge the next day. The funeral for Natalie McNally took place on December the 26th at her parents' house, before travelling to St. Coleman's Cemetery where Natalie was buried. And this was attended by hundreds of friends and family paying their respects for Natalie. Music played at the service, which ended with the song Humans by the Killers, Natalie's favourite band. On the 3rd of January, there was a vigil held for Natalie.
Every day goes by instantly, but in a way it feels like it's been 10 years since it happened. You know, it's obviously we're obviously missing Natalie very much. It's been hard on us, you know, what's happened, but we're just fighting on. As I say, it's been hard for us, but I think the fight now for justice is keeping us going through this month, and will continue until we get there. I remember when Natalie came round to my house to tell me that she was pregnant. Like, I danced around the living room and all, I was jumping up and down, I was hugging her, and even when she left, I was still dancing, you know. And we were all so excited, you know. My mum was going to buy a pram, bring them around Craven Lakes every day, you know. They were so excited, and we were all looking forward to it, and it's just been robbed from us now, which is heartbreaking.
The police would then reveal on January the 5th they found the weapon used to take Natalie's life, and it was recovered inside her house. They also stated that there was no forced entry to Natalie's home, and they had reason to believe Natalie knew her attacker. But they couldn't rule out if it was a random attack, and issued an appeal to the locals, especially women, to keep their doors locked at all times. The investigation began to stall, and the police appealed to the public for support on finding Natalie's killer. They released the original footage and urged anyone who seen or heard anything in the Silverwood Green area or surrounding areas to reach out, but no one ever did. At this point, police reviewed over 4,000 hours of CCTV footage and done house-to-house inquiries around the area. But then they finally announced a breakthrough. On January the 31st, over a month after the crime, the police would reveal they had the man in custody that committed the horrific crime. They had rearrested the first suspect who police thought had an alibi. They interrogated him for up to 2 days and charged him with the murder and released his name. A name that would shock the community, especially Natalie's family. It was 32-year-old Stephen McCullagh, Natalie's boyfriend. And Stephen's alibi for the evening of the murder was remarkable. Stephen has a YouTube channel which primarily focuses on him reviewing children's toys. And he also streams himself playing computer games on the channel. And it just so happens, on the night of Natalie's murder, Stephen said he was at home playing and live streaming Grand Theft Auto to dozens of people on his YouTube channel. His alibi at the time was airtight, and he was released back in December when he first became a suspect. The thing police didn't know at the time was that Stephen knew his way around a PC. When streaming, Stephen used an application called OBS Studio. It is used by anyone streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and even TikTok. And one of the features of this software allows you to stream pre-recorded files. And on the night of the crime, Stephen done this. He pre-recorded himself for 6 hours, then published this recording live to his viewers at the time of the attack.
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Abso-fucking-notly. Abso-fucking-notly. Like, I was reading somewhere recently, like, the amount of police force that we have lost over the last 12 years is just fucking frightening, and no wonder crime is on the rise. That's why I like sticking to just doing crimes in a video game. Keeps things simple, mate. I need to kill this bitch. I need to take her down. couple of days after that, back into work on Wednesday, then off until New Year's. So it'll be enough time to rest, relax, spend time with my loved ones. I actually think it'll be a really fucking good Christmas this year. But yes, sorry, I'm getting horribly distracted. Trying to get back into my gaming again, but that's not going to be a fucking thing come next year, because my efforts shall be involved elsewhere in my life. So just making the most out of my free time now while I've still got it. Just by saying Merry Christmas, everyone. It's a time that we look forward to and we get excited about whenever we're young, and then as we get older we get much more cynical and stuff like that, and then we reach a stage where we realize it's not about us anymore. It's about the younger generation, and it's about keeping that love alive and passing it on, and I think that's something I'm looking forward to doing more than anything else, really. But yes, for all of us, be we young, be we old, I think the important thing to take away from it is to use it as a time not for what we receive, but what we can give in terms of presents, in terms of love, in terms of sex. It's just been one of those nights, hasn't it? But yes, I think the message rings true that Christmas, it's not about the shopping, it's not about the lights and the tints and all that crap. It's literally just about having some time off to enjoy spending time with the people that you love. So hopefully I've done that tonight and given you a couple of hours of madness of me freaking out. So until next time, everyone, thank you for watching.
Stephen's viewers thought he was at home streaming for them live, when in reality, Stephen could have been anywhere at any time. And police have a reason to believe he was the man they seen on the CCTV that evening. Police said their team of experts analysed the stream and confirmed without a doubt it was pre-recorded. Stephen, now concerned, eventually admitted to the pre-recording and said he was at home that evening drinking. He never gave a believable or reliable excuse as to why he would pre-record the live stream, which made him the #1 suspect for the police. In the weeks Natalie lost her life, Stephen went to visit her parents' home multiple times, and on one of these visits, Stephen left the home but returned 45 minutes later, claiming he left his phone at the house by mistake. He did leave his phone, but it wasn't by mistake. During that 45-minute window, Stephen had been recording audio on his phone to determine if the McNally family suspected him of murdering Natalie. On top of this, police say they have CCTV footage that follows him to a bus station in Lurgan that evening, as well as additional footage placing him in the proximity of Natalie's home during the time the crime was committed. They even claim to have footage of him returning home to his house later that evening, and a taxi man came forward. He said he had Stephen in his cab on his final journey home. Investigators caught him in his lie and seemingly have him tracked the whole time. So if Stephen and Natalie were in love and expecting their first child, why would he want to take her life in such a horrific way? According to the investigators working the case, Stephen was a very jealous man. When he found out Natalie had been speaking to another man through text messages, he got very angry. He found out that Natalie had been texting her ex-boyfriend through the messaging application WhatsApp, and that just 33 messages were exchanged between the two. Now, we don't know the exact content in the messages as the case is still ongoing, but for Stephen, she crossed the line and he was under the assumption that she was cheating on him. Now, we don't know yet if she was actually cheating, but 33 messages exchanged between the two makes this quite a stretch. But no matter what Natalie did, she didn't deserve what took place that evening. Police say that on the evening of the crime, Natalie's phone had been unlocked between 8:52 and 9:30 PM, and investigators believe these unlocks were due to Stephen scrolling through her text messages, catching her in the act. And unfortunately, Natalie lost her life that night. Police say in the days leading up to her death, Stephen had searched on his computer most painful ways to die. So it's safe to say, whatever he did to Natalie that evening, she didn't deserve. As the case still remains ongoing, Stephen is innocent until proven otherwise. But with cases like this, and the mountains of evidence they have against him, it seems open and shut. Stephen hit a breaking point that night, and he took his rage out in the most horrific way. Thankfully, Natalie's suffering that night is over. Stephen denied doing any of this and he applied for bail. And thankfully, it was refused. And he'll remain in custody awaiting his trial date. Now please keep in mind this is a recent and developing case, and there will be more information as time goes on. Thoughts go out to the McNally family. Hopefully one day in the near or distant future, they will get justice for their daughter. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.